remember it's already been a year ago where we had the first class of the Video Game Hall of Fame. You had such games like Pong,
Doom,
Super Mario Brothers was in there.
Tetris.
I believe you had World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
So it was. We agreed like they all belong there.
They're all worthy, absolutely.
They're all worthy. Obviously, you can't put them all in the same time. There's so many of them.
I think they did a pretty good job this year, and actually, now that this is the second year, I'm having a lot of fun seeing what they pick and trying to figure out why. And all but one of these makes sense to me this year. And
so this is a physical museum in Rochester.
The Strong Museum. Yep,
Yeah.
about 45 minutes from where I grew up.
It's probably one of the coldest places on Earth because I remember visiting there for maybe want to go to RIT. Thank God I didn't. There's literally subterranean villages and hallways that separate the buildings because you can't go outside for like 4 months of the year. Anyway, so I guess the finalists this year are all strong except for one I never heard of, which we'll have to talk about.
I think we're on the same one.
That was like the Rolling Stone magazine pretentious pick of the of the year. They pick like the album or band you never heard of. So Elite, Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto 3, The Legend of Zelda, Minecraft, Nurburgring, The Oregon Trail, Pokemon Red and Green, Civilization, The Sims, Street Fighter 2, and Tomb Raider.
So all these are fantastic picks. Nurburgring, I can only guess is a racing title. I'm not sure why it's important. Unfortunately, maybe it's the first one with a wheel. But Nurburgring's a famous racetrack. That's all I know.
I gotta look it up while you talk about this because I know.
So go ahead. But
I missed out on Sonic the Hedgehog, Space Invaders,
Street Fighter 2,
and John Madden Football. I said Street Fighter 2.
Okay. So yeah, these are all. These are all fantastic picks that I think are
all worthy.
Do we really need to explain why Civ is a fantastic addition? Tomb Raider, was kind of the first like 3D action adventure game. Oregon Trail. I mean, everyone knows Oregon Trail. People still play it. The gameplay is still aped for other games.
The first widely popular educational title.
Yeah, every school had it. Space Invaders, which a lot of people felt like should have been in the first year. I don't think it's the greatest video game ever made, or the most important video game ever made. However, maybe you disagree. Do you agree? I'm not sure.
Inside jokes!
But they're not super inside if you watch the video game news. Elite, which didn't get as big in the U.S. as it did in Europe.
Way huge in Europe.
But it was kind of the first, open world space exploration game.
Arguably the first open world game.
Yeah.
So that was like 84?
Right. And you've still got games today that are trying to, do exactly this, but better. I mean, No Man's Sky, owes everything that it's doing to a game
and all
like
the Privateer
Elite.
Games and Star Citizen.
One that I loved called Lightspeed and Hyperspeed. Minecraft, once again, we're old. I have Minecraft. I tried to get into it. It looks really cool. I don't have the time, but it's basically like digital Legos with an adventure mode, and kids freaking adore it. I mean, it deserves to be in there. Grand Theft Auto 3, not a huge fan of the series, but another great example of an open world modern game.
That was the first sort of modern open world,
right?
Mind-blowing experience before that.
The Pokemon games launched an absolute phenomenon that is continuing to this day. I've worked in game retail for 10 years now, and there has never been a moment where Pokemon games were not out the door within 24 hours of us getting them in. They just they sell.
Legend of Zelda, we talked about the 30th anniversary, why that's important.
Yep. Sonic the Hedgehog is was probably
I would argue that is one of the weaker choices out of this batch.
It's iconic. It was the game that continued to propel the Genesis system. I still think it's a good game, but I think you have to look at it from what it did for the Genesis as a whole for Sega, not so much the game. I understand that, as this helped be finally competitor to Nintendo. Sure. But taken by itself, if Sonic the Hedgehog wasn't like the mascot of Sega, would this be in the conversation? No, probably not. As much as I like it, probably not. Obviously, Space Invaders brought that up. John Madden Football. The Madden Football series was the first real
to successfully take a stab at realism in a sports game.
It was also the first one that was really. I mean, there were others, but it was the first one that was really a game. You know, a lot of other football games were either very arcadey, or they were X's and O's. They were strategy games with X's and O's where the plays ran out on their own. Final Fantasy, while I would have loved to have seen Dragon Warrior there, Final Fantasy was really what took and polished the turn-based console RPG, and it deserves its spot. I mean, absolutely. And The Sims was another one of those phenomenon games that when it came out, it was, I mean, everyone was playing it. And it really gave you not so much an open world. I think people use sandbox and open world a little too interchangeably, but it was a sandbox game. It just gave you all the pieces to play with. So
Street Fighter 2.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. Of course, Street Fighter 2
cemented the fighting genre and basically all the modes and tropes and just flow and moves and buttons that for any fighting game afterwards, basically.
Yes, there were fighting games before it, but really Street Fighter 2 might as well be the start of fighting games.
Sure, because even Street Fighter 1 no one gives a shit about.
Yeah.
And then Tomb Raider, polygonal boobies. That's why it's in there. So, right?
I said before that it was more like it was because it was kind of the first like 3D action game, but kind of.
It was the first huge one.
Well, just like I mean, a lot of these in here, like Final Fantasy was not the first console RPG; it was the first big. Console
I would say
RPG.
Tomb Raider is a more important game series than Sonic the Hedgehog. I know people might get pissed, but
I think they're both. I mean, once again, if Tomb Raider hadn't come out when it did, we wouldn't be talking about it. I think these games, some of these games, are in here because of their place in time.
Sure. So I agree with all of this.
Yeah.
Choices. And then Nurburgring is an arcade game that I've never heard of.
Okay.
So it must have been really fucking cool in Germany, or wherever it came out, because I never heard of it. So we'll let them slide based upon that.
I mean, but did you shed any light? Did you shed any light on why? I mean, it might be important. Was anything said?
I can't find it online. I gotta try I'm searching for it.
Fine.
Oh, okay. It was the world's first 3D arcade car racing.
Oh,
machine.
okay. Well, that's cool.
And he invented it in 1975, and it came before Atari copied it as Night Driver. Remember Night Driver?
Yeah.
Night Driver,
was
Night Driver one of those ones that was actually on like a real track inside the machine? People out there, gather around the fire while I explain that there are actually these mechanical arcade machines before they were video games, and no one has them anymore. They're because they're all tossed out. But it used to be like you would drive, and actually there'd be like a track in the game, like on a conveyor belt,
and it would tell when you went off road, and usually give you a razzing noise or something.
Yeah, like
or
like if you've seen Blips Arcade on You Can't Do It on Television, kind of like that. Like arcades, like these electrical mechanical machines that were just there was no programming inside. You know, it was just discrete, I guess you could say.
It was buzzers and discrete programming and hamsters running on wheels and all that good stuff.
So it sounds like this is this was actually a video game. It looks amazing though. I don't know how they pulled it off in the mid '70s. It actually looks incredible. I've never heard of this game before. This could be, if we go back and do video game years, we'll do 1975. This is when it was invented, and do it and cover this and 3 other games that came out in '75. In the Odyssey 300 Pong console. So, good on you guys. I'm never going to go back to Rochester ever in my life, but if I was, I would visit the Video Game Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but Rochester has this thing, and they're called garbage plates.
Okay.
And they are fantastic. Let me explain a garbage plate real quick, because this is why I always went to Rochester. It is a paper plate, right? Mm-hmm. You get to pick mac salad, potato, home fries, French fries, beans. Okay, pick 2. Right?
I'll do beans and potatoes.
Okay, half and half on the plate. Then pick Red Hots, White Hots, cheeseburger, chicken tenders. Pick something.
Give me chicken tenders.
They throw chicken tenders on top there, a handful of onions, Texas sauce, ketchup, mustard, and they give you like half a loaf of bread. Have at it.
That sounds like the worst attempt of having your own regional food. We'll just take other ingredients and throw it on a plate and give you bread with it.
I love a garbage plate.
That sounds awful.
It's delicious.
Okay.
You just pissed off all of Rochester.
I'm not going to your college with -14 degrees in September. Okay.